All right. We're entering the second inning, or the bottom half of the second inning. Sonny Gray's done a great job so far today. Let me pull that up. We are up against Quinn Priester today. I'm going to go ahead and switch to the lineups after I go over this real quick. So Priester, a little bit below average on the pitching value this season, just sitting at 0 runs produced. Does have good fastball value and a very high ground ball rate, but the expected ERA is pretty bad. So his 1.93 ERA is very likely to come up, as his whip is at 1.43, and the Cardinals are already applying pressure. So that's who the Cardinals will be facing in the bottom half of this inning. And then I'll switch over. Here are the lineups today. So you can see Gorman's about to come up to the plate. You have, Nootbaar drew a walk to start the game. That's something that's common. Priester has not been able to find the zone very efficiently, but he was able to get Donovan and Arenado after a ground out from Contreras. So still scoreless going into the bottom half of the second. Sonny Gray's been very good. Just gave up the one hit to Yelich. Other than that, that was an infield hit. Other than that, he's been lights out. And then you can see Jordan Walker getting the day off. So Donovan is in left, Sajasi at second base, and Gorman at DH. So that's the lineup today. We'll go through it a little bit more after this. Here's the 1-0 to Gorman. It is low, 2-0. So Priester still struggling to find the zone. But he just did there with the sinker, 2-1. Barely clipped the lower inside corner on Gorman. Now he's ready. Here's the 2-1. Low and away, swung right over by Gorman, 2-2. So that was a very good pitch from Priester. Got Gorman to chase. Still struggling to find the zone, but Gorman chased that time. Gorman playing DH. Because Sajasi's so good at second base, it makes sense. The 2-2, low and in, pulled down the line, fair. It's going to hit the State Farm sign, and he's still going to try to stretch it to a double. The throw comes in, and it's late. So extra bases for Gorman. A nice sliding double to start off the bottom half of the second. So Gorman just came around on that low and inside pitch. 92 miles an hour. Pulled it right down that first base line. And even though it ricocheted to the right fielder, he was able to stretch it to a double. So runner on second, nobody out for Thomas Sajasi. Sajasi hitting for a high average. 400 on the year. Here's the pitch. Right down the middle, hit the other way. Playable for the second baseman, Turang. And there's now one out with a runner on third, as that did move Gorman to third here in the second. So now all Pajes has to do is put the ball in the outfield, and we'll have a 1-0 lead. So a good job by Sajasi, taking that ball the other way, making sure to move over the runner. Sometimes you can produce a run that way, so no problem there. Here's the first pitch to Pajes. Low and away on the slider, 1-0. Pajes hitting .238 with a .627 OPS. Batting 7th, playing catcher today. Here's the 1-0 pitch from Priester. In there for a strike. That was a nice sinker right at the bottom of the zone, 1-1. The 1-1 pitch from Priester. Outside, 2-1. The Brewers have Ortiz playing shortstop today. Durbin at third. Hoskins at first. Turang at second. Here's the 2-1. Just a little low and away. 3-1 on Pajes. So 15 balls so far today for Priester and just 14 strikes. Still struggling to find the zone. The 3-1 to Pajes. Slider hung out over the middle of the plate, but he was able to drive it to center field. It's going to be caught. And that will bring Gorman in from third. So it's a sac fly for Pages, and the Cardinals take a 1-0 lead in the second. Good fundamental baseball from the lower half of the lineup. Gorman with the double. So JC moved him over, and Pages drove him in with a sac fly. Great job across the board there, and it's 1-0. That will bring up Victor Scott, who's batting 8th. And this also sets up that potential stolen base decision. It would be very easy to steal with Scott if he's able to reach here. First pitch is upstairs with the slider, 1-0. So Scott had a fantastic series against Atlanta, and his average is up to 277 as he pops one the other way. Easy play in left field, and it's made by Chourio. So after 2, the Cardinals lead 1-0 after the Gorman double led to a nice, well-produced run by the Cardinals offense. That'll bring Sonny Gray back up. Let's go through the Brewers lineup real fast. Already went through their infield. It's Chourio in left, Frelick in center, and Bowers in right. And the catcher is William Contreras. And if we look at the Cardinals, it's Nootbaar in right, Donovan in left. Oh, thing glitched. I could just read it from over here. I mean, you could see it. Scott in center, so that's a little different from usual, and it's because you have the day off for Walker. And I like playing 3 of these middle infielders because, 4 of them actually. Gorman at DH, Donovan in left, and then you have the 2 that are actually playing second and short today, so JC and Wynn. Puts Contreras at first, Arenado at third, Pages behind the plate, as usual. So Herrera is going to be coming back pretty soon. That'll be exciting. Let's see what Sonny Gray has been producing so far this year. So he's been good. 3.41 ERA, 0.86 whip. So that's where his ERA is not quite matching with his whip numbers. He's been very, very good. 29 strikeouts in 29 innings. That's about on par with what he's usually doing. Just very, very good. He's average in expected ERA given his balls in play. So maybe he's just giving up some homers. Not a good ground ball rate, so that's something to note. Last year, let's see if that was different. It was much different. He was above average in ground ball rate, so you can expect that to come back down. And he was way above average in 2023. So you got to hopefully communicate that to him. Keep the ball on the ground. Other than that, Gray's been very good. So let's get back to the game. First pitch is in there for a strike on Ortiz, and it's 0-1. That was a sinker at the top of the zone. The only base runner for the Brewers today was an infield hit for Yelich. Second pitch to Ortiz. This is Joey Ortiz. He's hitting 172 on the year with a 442 OPS. So pretty bad offensive numbers there for being objective. Let's see if he can keep it going. Here's the 1-1. Up and in, fouled away, 1-2. Sonny Gray giving up the second lowest OPS with 2 strikes since last season. First is Scooble. The 1-2 poked foul, still 1-2. So when Sonny Gray gets ahead, that is a very, very good sign. The 1-2 to Joey Ortiz. Another slider. That one poked into play, but an easy play in right field for Nootbaar, and he makes the catch. So there's 1 out now in the third for Caleb Durbin. Durbin hitting 222 with a 670 OPS, so he's been much better than Ortiz. They probably have him as one of those second leadoff hitters at the 9 spot, like we have Mason Wynn. That would make some sense, although, yeah, he does have 1 home run on the year. Here's the first pitch from Gray. Low and away for ball 1. That was a cutter, 90 miles an hour. Pitch 29 from Gray with 1 out. He's in there for a strike. 1-1 on Durbin. Durbin's only played 8 games this year, so the 1 home run does pull up the OPS a good amount. The 1-1 pitch is chopped foul over by Arenado. And it's 1-2. Cardinals playing Durbin to pull just a little bit. Move the second baseman over by the bag up the middle. Here is the 1-2. Smoked to left field, but Donovan's able to range back and make a leaping grab for the second out. So a pretty good play by Donovan. Definitely routine for any left fielder, but still had to make a move to make that catch. And there's 2 outs in the top of the third. That brings us back to Bryce Turang at the top of the Brewers order. This guy's been a fantasy baseball demon this year, hitting .330 with 3 homers, also a lot of stolen bases, 801 OPS. As Sonny Gray misses outside with a curveball, 1-0. The 1-0 pitch to Turang. Smoked to center field. That one right in the sweet spot, but Nootbaar makes a very nice running catch. Got a good jump on that one. And we're through 3. Sonny Gray's only base runner being the Yelich infield single. And we're going to the bottom of the third. It'll be Wynn, Nootbaar, Contreras. So that's a good 3 hitters to start off an inning. You love having Nootbaar at the top of the lineup because he can walk, but he can also drive in runners if Mason Wynn's able to reach. So the turnaround for this lineup is just excellent. It's definitely something I would want to keep. I also really like what we're doing today with all of these middle infielders, because some of our best players are the middle infielders. So putting Donovan in left field, putting Gorman at DH, playing Sajacy at second, that just adds value to the lineup. If you go through this lineup, the way Gorman's been playing, I like every single player in this lineup. And when you get Herrera at catcher, the offense will get even more potent. The defense might get a little bit worse behind the plate, but that's also excellent. So definitely things looking up for the Cardinals now that Wynn is back. Especially on defense, but also on offense. So let's go ahead and see what else we can find today. I'm going to look at William Contreras, because he'll be hitting next inning. Yep, 96th percentile in fielding. That's pretty cool. He also has, 3 batting runs produced already, 75th percentile on that. Good walk rate. Highest caught stealing above average in baseball. That's something Yachty would always be known for, so that's very good for William Contreras. Last season, he was in the 94th percentile as a hitter. And 2 seasons ago, 86th percentile. So a young star at catcher for the Brewers. And here's Mason Wynn. It is now 0-1. Here's the 0-1. Low and away, 1-1. Mason Wynn hitting .236. Started slow this season, but picked it up since then. Here's the 1-1. Slider poked foul the other way, 1-2. The 1-2 pitch. Upstairs, fouled back, still 1-2. You'd love to see Mason Wynn just find a way to get on base as the 1-2 pitch is bounced in the dirt. 2-2 on Wynn. Because when he's reaching base, then you have Nootbaar at the top of the order. The cycle keeps flowing. You got Contreras, Donovan, Arenado, Gorman. I mean, it's a deep, deep lineup. Inside pitch there, fouled back. Still 2-2. Two pitch. Upstairs, 3-2 on Win. That one was pretty close. A sinker at the top of the zone, but was just above the zone. The 3-2 pitch pulled down the line fair. It'll hit off of that State Farm sign on the left field side. And Win will dive into second with a double. So another double to start off an inning. Gorman last inning, and Win did the same thing down the third baseline this inning. And the Cardinals have another runner on second with nobody out. That was just a hanging slider. Pulled it right down that third base line. Did exactly what you're supposed to do. Get out in front of that pitch. When it's hanging like that, pull it. Keep it fair. Great job by Mason Win. So Win on second. Nootbaar at the plate now. Nobody out. Priester delivering his 41st pitch of the game. And here it is. Top of the zone, hit hard to center field by Nootbaar, and that one will get down and bounce up into the stands for a ground rule double. So Nootbaar drives in a run, and it's 2-0 Cardinals in the third. Still a runner on second with nobody out. Great job by Nootbaar. Let's take a look at what this pitch looked like. Looks like it's just a fastball right at the top of the zone. Left it up and away, and that's where Nootbaar's barrel is. So he goes out and smokes that one, and it tails away from the center fielder, so he had no chance to get there. A nice double for Lars Nootbaar. That will bring up Wilson Contreras with Nootbaar on second, nobody out. First pitch to him is a slider in there for a strike. Outside pitch that time, caught the lower outside corner. Contreras is 0 for 1 today. Here's the 0-1 to him. Another slider, that one at the bottom of the zone. He chased it, 0-2. It was a hittable pitch that time, but still out of the zone. Let's see if Contreras can have a productive out or make a nice drive and drive in Nootbaar. Here's the 0-2. Instead, we have a timeout. Timeout by Contreras, as the pitcher was taking a long time to deliver that pitch. So we'll have another 0-2. They are playing Contreras to pull, kind of holding Nootbaar on second. Here's the 0-2. Slider in the dirt, 1-2 on Contreras. Just grounded into a fielder's choice in the first. It was a little too slow hit to be a double play. The 1-2 pitch to Contreras. Another slider in the zone. That one fouled off. Still 1-2. So Contreras looks so much better than he did at the start of the season. His average still sitting down at 200, but he's been pulling it up very consistently since he started hitting. So I believe it'll be back up to normal eventually. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Contreras. Slider, chopped, left field side. Easy play for the shortstop, but that did move Nootbaar to third base. So a good productive out by Contreras, and the Cardinals have a runner on third with one out in the third. It is Joey Ortiz at shortstop who made that play. We could take a look at him between innings, see if he's a good fielder. Here's the first pitch to Donovan. It is upstairs. 1-0. Brendan Donovan hitting .362 on the year with a .934 OPS. One of the best batting averages in baseball, if not the best qualified batting average. Here's the 1-0. Fouled back, 1-1. So Nootbaar stands on third base. Big chance for Brendan Donovan to drive him in. Here's the 1-1. In the middle of the plate, hit to left center, and it will drop for a hit. So Donovan might have extra bases here. He does. That's a stand-up double for Brendan Donovan, and it's 3-0 Cardinals in the third. So the offense continues to churn out runs with this lineup. And Donovan is 1 for 2 today. That was just an inside-out swing. Dropped between the center fielder and the left fielder, as the center fielder had to chase it forever because of the slice on that ball. And that allowed Donovan to coast into second base with a double. And that will bring up Nolan Arenado with a runner on second and 1 out in the third. Pitching coach having a discussion with Priester here. Donovan's just had great pieces of hitting all season. He finds where the defense is not. He did a lot of practice with that. He used the simulation machine outside his house. In the barn is what he calls it. And it would tell him the expected batting average of every swing he took, given the alignment on defense. So he literally did practice hitting the ball where the defense was not. And that helped him out a lot. So Donovan on second. Here's the first pitch to Arenado. That was a nice sinker at the top of the zone for a strike. 0-1. So now you can't really have much of a productive out unless you can move Donovan to third before Arenado's hit, but you probably won't have him stealing third. So here's the 0-1 to Arenado. Sinker low and in, fouled away. 0-2. So you're going to need a hit from either Arenado or Gorman in order to drive in Donovan, or some type of wild pitch. Playing Arenado to pull the 0-2. He does pull it, but that was foul down the third base line. Still 0-2. So back in the second, Gorman reached on a double down the line. Cardinals were able to manufacture a run. And then Wynn was able to do the same. Here's the 0-2 pitch to Arenado. Fastball bottom of the zone, 1-2. That was below the zone. Priester already up at 53 pitches on the day. His 54th coming to Arenado with 1 out in the third. Here's the 1-2. Top of the zone, chop the other way to first base. Easy play there. And there's 2 outs now with Donovan on third. Rhys Hoskins made that easy play. And it'll be Nolan Gorman, who started off the second with the double. Cardinals started off this third inning with back-to-back doubles by Wynn and Nootbaar, followed by Contreras grounding out, and then Donovan delivered with a double of his own. First pitch to Gorman, right down the middle with a sinker, 0-1. He fouled that one back. Cardinals are second in baseball this year with highest percentage of hits to the opposite field at 30.7. Here is the 0-1 pitch. A nice changeup, dropped straight into the lower inside corner, 0-2. So Priester seems to have found some of his command this inning, but not before giving up a couple of runs. Here's the 0-2 to Nolan Gorman. Fastball away, 1-2. Gorman hitting .233, but already has that double in this game. Here's the 1-2. Slider in the dirt. Contreras able to block it. 2-2 on Gorman. Gorman is 2 for 7 this season with runners in scoring position and 2 outs. And that's the situation right here. Donovan on third. The 2-2 is in the dirt. And the count is now full on Gorman. So great job by Gorman recognizing those sliders. Seems his discipline at the plate is much better. Or maybe he just recognizes sliders better than some other pitches. Let's see what he can do here. The 3-2 to Gorman. Way up and away, and it's ball 4, and that will bring up Thomas Saggese with runners at the corners and 2 outs. Cardinals have already scored 2 in this inning. Let's see if Saggese can extend it. Cardinals have 4 hits in this game. I believe they are all doubles. First pitch to Saggese is low and away with the slider, 1-0. As Gorman's hit was a double, Wynn's hit was a double, Nootbaar's hit was a double, and Donovan's hit was a double. So no singles, 4 doubles for the Cardinals today. The 1-0 pitch to Saggese is a slider in the dirt, 1-1. Priester steps off. He's thrown a lot of pitches in this inning, trying to find the zone consistently. About to throw pitch 63 in the bottom of the 3rd. Here is the 1-1 to Saggese. That one in there for a strike. Sinker lower outside corner. And it's 1-2 on Thomas Saggese. Saggese hitting .389 with a .962 OPS. And a little bit of a limited sample size. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Thomas. Slider, grounded foul, and we'll do it again. We'll see if Saggese can continue to battle this at-bat. If he can get the count to full, then Gorman would be able to move on that 3-2. Let's see what Saggese can do here. He is 3 for 11 with runners in scoring position, with his 1 home run coming in those situations. Here's the 1-2 pitch. That was a cutter up and away. No bite on that. 2-2 on Saggese. Gorman on first, Donovan on third. 2 outs. The 2-2 pitch from Priester to Saggese. That one low and away with the changeup. And the count is full. So a good job by Saggese. Not biting on any of those outside pitches. And Gorman will be on the move with this pitch. Gorman standing on first, Donovan on third. The 3-2. Up and away for ball 4. So Priester continues to miss the zone. And the bases are loaded for Pedro Pages. Pages has a sac fly in this one to center field. So he is 0 for 0. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Pitch number 68 from Priester in this one. First pitch to Pages. Right down the middle, bounced to the second baseman. He makes the play. That's 2-rang. And the Cardinals strand the bases loaded, but not before putting up 2 runs in the 3rd inning. Coming on a trio of doubles from Wynn, Nootbaar, and Donovan. So it's 3-0 Cardinals after 3. So you wonder if that long break will affect Sonny Gray at all, as he's about to face Churriel, Yelich, Contreras. So that's the scariest 3. Let's run through them all real quick. We looked at William Contreras just now. He's been excellent as usual, just a .710 OPS, but you can see the batting values coming. Although his peripheral stats aren't great this year. Were they good last year? Yes, so keep an eye out on that. Work our way backward. Yelich. He has been pretty good this season. Same number of batting value as Contreras. Does have a really good xWOBA, expected batting average, so his peripheral stats are very good. He also walks a lot. So watch out for Yelich. He had a .910 OPS last season. Did win the MVP way back with the Brewers. And then Churiping, who is a breakout star from last season. He's been a little bit average so far this year. Was above average last season, 22 stolen bases. His numbers have come down a little this year, but does have 5 home runs, 20 runs scored, which is quite a few for this early in the season. And his peripherals aren't as far down as the other ones we've looked at. His peripherals weren't great last season either, but he just wasn't an outstanding hitter until the second half. So we'll see if he can keep that up. He's only 21. You expect him to be a star. 95th percentile in sprint speed. Very good hitter. And Sonny Gray is back on the mound, so let's see what he can do against Churiping. This will be pitch 34 from Sonny Gray in the top of the 4th. A nice curveball in there at the bottom of the zone. 0-1 on Jackson Churiping. Churiping has 5 home runs, as I mentioned. Here's the 0-1. Fastball right down the middle, ripped to left field. Brendan Donovan plays that off of a couple bounces, and Churiping has a single. So Churiping on first, nobody out in the top of the 4th for Christian Yelich. Last night, Arenado made an incredible play, ranging to his left and getting the out at the plate in the City Connect jerseys. And he's back at third base today. Let's see if he can do something similar. Here's the first pitch to Yelich. Right down the middle, chopped to the right-hand side. They'll have to go to first, so that'll move Churiping to second base with 1 out here in the 4th. And that will bring up William Contreras. Contreras hitting .242 with a .703 OPS. The Brewers lineup looks pretty consistent top to bottom. .794 OPS for Turang. A few guys in the 700s, a few guys in the 800s, and then Ortiz and Durbin at .437 and .647. Here's the pitch to Contreras. Up and in, 1-0. So he missed up and in with the sinker. Contreras ahead, 1-0. The second pitch to William Contreras from Sonny Gray. A nice sweeper at the top of the zone. Got him looking on that one, and it's 1-1. 1 out with Churiping on second. The 1-1 pitch from Gray. Another sweeper, did not go around, and it's 2-1 on Contreras. Sonny Gray's been pretty efficient today. 39 pitches, 31 strikes. So 2 of his 8 balls on the day have come in this at-bat against Contreras. Here's the 2-1. He missed low and away there with the sinker, 3-1. So maybe that long break during that long third inning for the Cardinals might be affecting Gray a little bit here in the 4th. Cardinals playing Contreras to pull a little bit. Here's the 3-1 pitch. Nice sweeper, caught the lower outside corner, 3-2. So Gray's going to have to make a good pitch here with Churiping on second. The 3-2 to Contreras is low with the sinker, ball 4, and there's runners on first and second now for Sal Frelick. Frelick hitting .306 with an .805 OPS, so better numbers than anyone in the first 4 hitters so far this year. But you don't expect that to continue. Here's the first pitch from Sonny Gray to Sal Frelick, who struck out back in the second. Missed upstairs with the fastball, 1-0. And Pajas will go talk to Gray. I'm going to grab a drink. I'll be back in 30 seconds. All right, I am back. I missed some action there. So Rhys Hoskins is at the plate. Runners on second and third with 2 outs. So I imagine Frelick grounded out and moved the 2 runners over. Here's the 2-0 pitch to Rhys Hoskins. In there for a strike at the upper outside part of the zone there, and it's 2-1. That was a fastball. I may go back and watch that play, just because I don't want to miss anything. Here's the 2-1 to Hoskins. Smoked, but caught at third base by Arenado. What a play. That ball was hit very hard, maybe 100 miles an hour off the bat. Arenado was able to hop over and make the catch. And that goes down as a line out for Rhys Hoskins, and no damage. Midway through the fourth, it's 3-0 Cardinals. So Priester will be back. It doesn't let me rewind when commercials are going on, so I guess I won't be seeing what happened in that play, but oh well. All right, let's see. It'll be Scott, Wynn, and Nootbaar. So a little bit of a different approach to this inning. If Scott is able to reach, then you have a singles hitter and Wynn. He's pretty fast, though, so you'd probably just go for back-to-back singles. Hopefully at least one of them is on base after that. No need to bunt or anything like that. And then you'd have Nootbaar, who's a guy who can walk and hit for power. So it makes sense to just let everybody hit. No need to bunt or do anything strange. Maybe you try to steal second with Victor Scott, but that makes the most sense with 2 outs rather than with none. So we'll see. I mean, he's a very fast runner, so if they have anything on these pitchers, or if he thinks he can get a good jump, obviously stealing with Victor Scott is usually a beneficial choice, so hopefully he can. Depends what Priester's delivery speed is. I don't know if this is something they have. Do they have stolen bases allowed on here? So he's been average this year and below average every other year of his career. Yeah, I'm not worried about. Okay, let's go back to the game. I don't think the stolen base thing matters that much, as Victor Scott just flew out to left field. He had a pop-up over to Churio, and there's one out in the fourth. So there you go. Definitely won't matter this time. That'll bring up Mason Wynn. So one out, nobody on. It'll be Mason Wynn, then the top of the order with Lars Nootbaar. Nootbaar has a walk, also has a double in this one, and Mason Wynn has a double in his only plate appearance. Here's the first pitch to him. Bounced a curveball in the dirt, 1-0. The 1-0 pitch. Hanging slider right down the middle, and it's 1-1. So Wynn has seen one now. Already hit a double off of Priester last time up. Here's the 1-1. Slider in the dirt. 2-1 on Wynn. Cardinals have done a great job manufacturing runs so far in this game. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Fastball driven the other way. He stayed inside that one. Put it in the corner, and it'll be extra bases for Wynn again. The throw to second is off target. Ball skips away to third. And Wynn sits on second base with his second double of the game. So Mason Wynn having an excellent game. He's 2 for 2 with 2 doubles so far today. And it'll be Lars Nootbaar with 1 out and Wynn on second. Just waited for that pitch to travel. A nice stroke right through it to right field. And legged out that double. You expect it from Mason Wynn with the speed. And here's the first pitch to Nootbaar. A nice curveball on the outside part of the plate. 0-1. Nootbaar's reached base both times so far today. Here's the 0-1 pitch to him. They go low and away. He rockets it up the middle for a base hit, and the center fielder doesn't even make the throw. It's cut off by Contreras, who moved up, and Nootbaar actually was able to get to second base. So he did make the throw. Didn't throw it to the cutoff man. I thought he was going to pump fake, but he released the ball, and Nootbaar takes second base. So 4-0 Cardinals in the bottom of the fourth with 1 out, and Nootbaar on second now. So bad fielding decisions by the Brewers give the Cardinals another runner in scoring position. So Nootbaar with a single, he advanced to second, and here's the first pitch to Contreras. Slider outside, fouled back, 0-1. So every single hit for the Cardinals today has ended up with the runner on second base. Very strange phenomenon. That time it was the fault of the Brewers. Every other time it's been a double. Here's the 0-1 pitch to Contreras. Slider inside, 1-1. Contreras is 0 for 2, put a couple balls on the ground so far today. Moving the runner over both times. Here's the 1-1. Ground ball foul, and it's 1-2. Actually, that first time it was a fielder's choice, so he did not move a runner over, but we'll see if Contreras can have a nice hit here in his third plate appearance. Nootbaar on second. The 1-2 pitch to Wilson Contreras. Pitch number 80 from Priester. Upstairs with the sinker, and it's 2-2. Cardinals are 5 for 15 so far in this series with runners in scoring position. So a great job by the team today. Here's the 2-2 pitch to Contreras. Sinker outside, chopped up the middle. Turang tries to make a play, but the ball skips past Hoskins at first. And Nootbaar comes around to score, and it's 5-0 Cardinals in the fourth. So the Cardinals just pouring it on. The defense for the Brewers continues to make bad throws and bad decisions, and that's going to be an error. Wilson Contreras will reach, and Nootbaar has scored. So excellent offense from the Cardinals. And they are way up so far today. That's the third straight inning that the Cardinals have scored a run, and the second straight inning that they've scored 2 runs. And that'll bring up Brendan Donovan with Contreras on first. The first pitch to Donovan. Squares around, bunts it, foul down the third base line, 0-1. Donovan with a 955 OPS on the year, 368 average. The 0-1 pitch to Donovan. Curveball low and in. He went down and tried to get it. Swung right under it. And it's 0-2. So with Contreras on first and 1 out, here's the 0-2 pitch to Brendan Donovan. Fastball outside, chopped over the pitcher's head. They try to step on second and get 2 outs, and Donovan's safe at first. So the 1 out is made at second on Contreras, but Donovan beats it out, and that'll bring up Arenado with 1 on and 2 outs. So he rolled over that one a little bit, but by chopping it into the air and hustling, Donovan was able to keep it to just the 1 out on the play. So here's Arenado. He's 0 for 2 today. Still hasn't struck out in this one and strikes out very little all season. So that's been a very good trait for Arenado this year. Here's the first pitch to Nolan. Fastball right down the middle. Got under it a little bit. Fly ball to center field. And the catch is made. But not before the Cardinals add 2 more runs to their lead. After a double from Mason Wynn, single from Nootbaar, and then what they considered a hit by Contreras. I don't know about that. That was a ground ball. What I thought was an error. Okay, they changed it to an error, so we'll see that corrected on the scoring very soon. But the Cardinals were able to put up a couple of runs before that fly out to Sal Frelick. So that'll bring up Bowers, Ortiz, and Durbin against Sonny Gray. Looks like a good Cardinal win is coming today. But Sonny Gray's got to finish a strong outing. His ERA down at 3 now. So we can look at these 3 guys at the bottom of the order. Joey Ortiz. How's he been? 3rd percentile with -7 batting run value, a 437 OPS, so he's been pretty bad so far this year. But last season, he's been above average, so he was a good fielder last year and above average hitter. Had that 727 OPS, so, and 11 stolen bases. So good fielding, good sprint speed, good batting, great fielding value. So Ortiz at short does make sense. You just hope, if you're a Brewers fan, that he picks up that hitting, because 2023 and this year are looking similar, and they were in the 400s in OPS. So frightening stuff for him. Let's take a look at Durbin. So Durbin, this is his first year. The pipeline had him as the Brewers' number 21 prospect. Is that what that means? Yeah. So not a top 100 guy. He's been about average so far this year. Did square up the ball a lot. Doesn't whiff and doesn't strike out, but he also doesn't walk. And he doesn't hit the ball very hard. So that's how you get to a 670 OPS with just 1 home run. First pitch to Bowers is in there for a strike, 0-1. So Jake Bowers, the right fielder, he has 2 home runs this year with an 827 OPS. That is the highest OPS in the Brewers order today. So Bowers has been great. But Gray is ahead 0-2 on him today, or in this at-bat. And he has a fly out back in the second. Here's the 0-2. Ripped to center field. That one hard hit, but a nice diving catch is made by Victor Scott. What an incredible job by Scott. Ranging over in center field and putting his body on the line to make that play. 1 out in the 5th. Nobody on. for Joey Ortiz. That one was slicing away from Scott, and he just put his maximum effort on display. Full speed sprint, body on the ground. Nice catch by Scott. 1 out. Here's the first pitch to Joey Ortiz. That one was a sinker outside, right in there for a strike. 0-1 on Joey. Ortiz is hitting 170 so far this year. Here's the 0-1. Did he go? No, he did not. So it's 1-1 on Ortiz. That was a slider in the dirt. Ortiz had a flyout back in the third. 1 out. Nobody on. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Popped up. Easy play at shortstop for Mason Wynn. He can't find it. Brendan Donovan lets it drop, and it'll be extra bases. So I guess a double for Joey Ortiz there. Really a defensive misplay. Nobody could find the ball in the sun. And right after a fantastic catch by Scott, the defense doesn't know where the ball is and lets one drop that definitely should not have in left. So that was Donovan's ball the whole time, potentially, but Mason Wynn seemed like he had it. Nobody could find it. Sometimes you're just unlucky. Runner on second, 1 out for Caleb Durbin. Sonny Gray is set. Here's the first pitch to Durbin. Outside curveball. That one way outside. Bounced in the other batter's box. 1-0. So Sonny Gray trying to settle in. Does have a 5-0 lead to work with, but the runner now on second. After some weak contact, the 1-0. Low and away changeup. Chopped right over by Durbin. 1-1. Durbin is 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position this season. Does have 1 RBI. Here's the 1-1. Up and in, popped foul, 1-2. Durbin hitting .214 with a .647 OPS. 0 for 1 on the day. Sonny Gray about to make his 58th pitch of the game in the 5th inning. The 1-2 pitch to Durbin with Ortiz on second. Low and away, poked up the middle for a base hit. Victor Scott will come in, but there's no chance of getting that runner. And Milwaukee is on the board. It's 5-1 Cardinals in the 5th. And that ball was hit so slowly that Durbin was actually able to stretch it to a double. So maybe Victor Scott could have charged that one a little bit harder. But it was right off the end of the bat, just poked over the infield. Very slow roller, and they were playing him too deep for that to be an easy play for Scott. I believe he could have charged it faster, but the problem was nobody was covering second. So a heads-up play by Durbin. He's on second with 1 out for Bryce Turang. So this is a scary spot. Top of the order is coming up. Doesn't get any easier after Turang. Here's the first pitch from Gray to Bryce Turang. Change up in the dirt, 1-0. First baseman playing Turang to pull. The rest of the infield following suit. The 1-0 in the dirt with the curveball, 2-0. So Gray being careful with Turang, but if you put him on first, that's extra base runners for Churio, and you have a 4-run lead. So I would probably just attack Turang, try to avoid giving up any more base runners. Here is the 2-0 pitch to Turang. Low and in, did he go? Yes, he did. 2-1. So the slider got him to bite right there. Here's pitch 62 from Gray. The 2-1 pitch to Chiriping. Outside with the changeup, 3-1. So Gray struggling to find the zone in this inning. He went from incredibly efficient with the strike zone to now having 18 balls to 44 strikes, which is still very efficient, but they're all coming at the same time, which is not good. Here's the 3-1 pitch to Chiriping. Instead, he has a pickoff, and they're going to catch Durbin in the rundown. He gets tagged out by Sajasi, and there's 2 outs in the 5th. An incredible pickoff move by Sonny Gray. Durbin got cocky, and the Cardinals turned it into an out. Great job by Mason Wynn, getting over to make that pickoff move work, and Sajasi to tag him out. Fantastic defense by the Cardinals, and they turn a potential rally into a situation with no base runners and a 3-1 count on Chiriping. Nobody on, 2 outs. Here's the 3-1 pitch. Outside ball 4, so Chiriping will reach. But now the threat is much smaller for Jackson Chourio. So that's just one of those incredible things by the Cardinals. They noticed that Durbin was taking a big lead. He was hopping off the base multiple times, trying to draw the attention of Sonny Gray. So the Cardinals ran their pickoff play and got the out of it. First pitch to Chourio's in there for a strike, 0-1. Sonny Gray back on track, it looks like. Just needed one clever play from him and Wynn. Here's the 0-1. Swing and a miss with the sweeper outside, and it's 0-2. When your defense makes a great play, that's what fires you up and gets you locked back in. The offense putting up runs is great, but for a pitcher, you make a defensive play and set things back on course, that's what locks you in. Here's the 0-2 pitch to Chourio. Bounced it in the dirt with the sweeper, 1-2. It's cool seeing John Jay and Daniel Descalzo in the Cardinals dugout. Pickoff move now for Chiriping, but he gets back safely. Still 1-2. Seems like Descalzo thinks that Chourio might be trying to steal. Not Chourio. Chiriping might be trying to steal here. Let's see if he's correct. The 1-2. He was incorrect. Sinker above the zone. 2-2. Maybe that's just a sign for some other reason, but that's what it appeared that sign meant. Either way, here's the 2-2 now from Gray. Hanging sweeper, fouled away. Still 2-2. Sonny Gray wants a new ball. He's quickly approaching 70 pitches on the day. Ideally, he can get through 6 or 7 innings for the Cardinals. Maybe 7. I would hope for 7, but we'll see. Here's the 2-2, pitch 69 from Gray. Right down the middle, ripped down the third base line, into the corner, but Donovan ranges over quickly, gets a throw in, and keeps him at second base. So that scored Chourio from first. Well, sorry, Chourio scores Chiriping from first, and Chourio has a double. So good hit there by him. That was a little bit of a hanging pitch from Gray. Easy to hit. Hung one right down the middle. Chourio put the barrel on it and smacked it into the corner. No chance for Donovan to do anything other than keep it to a double, as the run did score. So it's 5-2 Cardinals now, as Dusty Blake will go out and talk with Sonny Gray. Churio takes his day up a notch to 2 for 3. Yelich is 1 for 2 with an infield single, and he's due up to hit next. Team's just got to settle in here. Try to keep it where it is. They still have a 3-run lead, but the threat is real with Christian Yelich at the plate. If they can prevent Yelich from delivering here, then the threats become less substantial throughout the rest of the order. At least as far as career averages go. They've all been hitting pretty well this season. Here's the first pitch to former MVP Christian Yelich. A nice curveball up and away for a strike, 0-1. Yelich is the veteran presence in the Brewers locker room. This season, he's incredible with runners in scoring position in 2 outs. Here's the 0-1. Fouled the other way, 0-2. Yelich is 6 for 14, which is a .429 batting average in these situations. Does only have 1 extra base hit, no home runs, but 6 RBIs in these spots. The 0-2 from Sonny Gray to Yelich. Low and in with the sweeper, he swung right over it, and that's strike 3. Great job by Sonny Gray. And we're midway through the 5th. 2 runs scored for the Brewers there, 5-2 Cardinals in the game. It'll be Gorman, Sajacy, Pajas. You wonder if Priester will come back out for the 5th inning. He's thrown 85 pitches this game. So Gorman, Sajacy, Pajas. Let's see. And then it would be Scott. So I like this. I like this group of players. I think the lineup is designed to have these guys come up in order. Although Gorman is a power bat that you wouldn't mind batting with base runners on. I do think, given the 9 players in the Cardinals lineup today, this is the best lineup you can produce. The only thing you might want to do differently is put Sajacy over Gorman, but that's debatable. The theory within this lineup is very well thought out. Scores a lot of runs. This might just be Marmol trying to stay with the same lineup, but this version of it looks great. It is 5-2 Cardinals. Let's see if Sajacy is qualified yet. I imagine he's not. He's not, but he has produced 2 batting run value. Great expected batting average at .313. 91.5 average exit velo. A .978 OPS. He's been good. Outright good. Game is back. It's 0-1 on Gorman. It still is Priester for the Brewers as he misses the outside corner with the curveball, 1-1. Priester on pitch number 88. The 1-1 pitch to Gorman. In there for a strike with the changeup, 1-2. So this will probably be Priester's final inning of work in this one. Up at 88 pitches. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Instead, we have a timeout. The 1-2. Outside 2-2. Gorman is 1 for 1 today with a walk, a run scored, and a double. The 2-2 pitch to Nolan Gorman. Curveball below the zone. He was able to foul it off. Still 2-2. Two pitch fouled away. Still 2-2. So a great at bat from Gorman, keeping this one alive. Potentially preventing Priester. That's a tongue twister. Here's the 2-2. In the dirt, he swings and misses over the curveball, and there's one out in the bottom of the 5th. I was going to say potentially preventing Priester from facing everybody this inning, but it was too hard for my tongue to get those words out. Sinker in the zone, and it's 0-1 on Sajacy. Thomas Sajacy is 0 for 1 today. The 0-1 pitch is in there for strike 2. That was a sinker. It did not catch the corner, but it appeared to. So the ump called it a strike. The 0-2 pitch. So JC chased a slider outside. That was way outside the zone. But he could not check his swing, and there are 2 outs in the 5th for Pedro Pajes. So hopefully Pajes can reach here. Nobody on, 2 outs. Here's the first pitch to Pajes. It was a curveball right down the middle for a strike, 0-1. This will be Priester's final hitter of the day. Here's the 0-1. Outside 1-1. Priester up at 97 pitches. They'll probably let him finish the inning, but I don't think they would want him facing Scott in most situations as Pajes fouls one off. 1-2. Pajes calls time. Still 1-2. The 1-2 pitch is poked through for a base hit between third base and shortstop, and Pajes is the first base runner of the inning for the Cardinals. So 2 outs, 1 on, bottom of the 5th, and that'll bring up Victor Scott. Scott is 0 for 2 today. And we'll see now if Priester will get the chance to face him. Looks like Contreras signaling to the bullpen as he goes out to talk to Priester. Piamps is getting ready in the Brewers bullpen. Let's see if Priester gets the chance to face Victor Scott. Victor Scott is going to step up to the plate. Let's see what happens. Priester is set, so he will be facing Scott. Here's the first pitch. Inside, ball 1. That was a sinker. Almost hit him. 1-0. Victor Scott is 0 for 2 with 2 flyouts today. They are holding the runner on first. Pedro Pajes. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Inside for ball 2. 2-0. Here's the 2-0 pitch to Victor Scott. Hung a slider down the middle, but it's popped up to left field. Easy play in left, and he makes the catch. So we're through 5, and it's 5-2 Cardinals. Victor Scott leaves Pedro Pajas on first, and we go to the top of the 6th. So it was actually Bowers in left field. Frelick came out of the game, so Chourio moved over to center. That's why I couldn't tell who made that catch. So Bowers in left. Daz Cameron is in the game in right field, and Chourio is in center. It will be Contreras, Cameron, and Hoskins for the Brewers in the 6th. Sonny Gray's at 72 pitches, so you expect him to stay in the game here. Get through another inning. Let's take a look at Daz Cameron. He's a very consistent 600 OPS guy. Back in 2021, he had a 637. 2022, he had a 630. In 2024, he had a 587. Has not played yet this season. Here's his first chance. Let's see if he was qualified any season. Nope, he's never been qualified. And his batting value has not been great. Been negative every single time. So that's unfortunate for him. Let's see if he can turn it around. Rhys Hoskins obviously was great with the Phillies for a while. Let's see how he's been recently. So in 2022 with the Phillies, he was 87th percentile in batting value. With the Brewers last year, he was 65th percentile, and this year he's 86th percentile. So he's doing much better so far this year with the 3 home runs, but we'll see if he can keep it up. As Gray is on the mound. And let's see, it looks like somebody already reached. It was Contreras. So the first pitch to Contreras was chopped over to the left-hand side, and Arenado had no play, so Contreras reaches, first runner on, and that brings up Daz Cameron. First pitch from Gray to Cameron as a ball leaked out onto the field. Here's the real first pitch to Daz Cameron. Fouled back, 0-1. So let's get live here. Now we are live. The 0-1 pitch to Cameron. Curveball in the dirt, 1-1. So 1 on, nobody out here in the 6th. 1-1 pitch to Daz Cameron. Sonny Gray has thrown 75 in the game. This will be pitch number 76. Here it is from Sonny Gray. Sweeper up and away, 1-2. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Cameron. Another sweeper perfectly caught the lower outside corner, and it's called strike 3. Cameron does not agree. Pitch track said it was maybe a centimeter low, but that's too bad for Cameron. 1 out now with 1 on for Rhys Hoskins. Hoskins has been good this year. He currently holds the highest OPS of anyone in the lineup, as Gray misses low with the cutter, 1-0. The 1-0 is a sinker in there for a strike, 1-1. Hoskins is 0 for 2 today. Left a couple runners on, just a couple of lineouts in this one. Arenado made a great catch on his last swing. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Ground ball left-hand side through the hole for a hit. It's going to be a single for Hoskins. Donovan makes the play. And there are runners at first and second with 1 out in the 6th. And that'll bring up Jake Bauers. Bauers moved from right field to left field when Frelick left the game. And he's hitting .250 on the year with an .802 OPS. So 2 runners on, 1 out. Sonny Gray in a little bit of trouble. The lefty Bauers at the plate. Here's the first pitch to Bauers. Instead, we have a timeout right before it was delivered. And it's a pitch clock violation. So 1-0 now. The 1-0 pitch to Bauers. First pitch from Gray. Swing and a miss on the curveball, 1-1. Weird being able to say that because the pitch clock violation, his first pitch made the count 1-1. Here's the second pitch to Bauers. Up and away, they do a pickoff throw, and they just miss picking off Hoskins at first. So it's 2-1. Runners at first and second with 1 out. It was a great decision, but the tag was just not applied. Maybe he's out. Doesn't look like it. Just a great slide there from Bauers. Cardinals are going to challenge that play. The umpires are deliberating now. I have no idea what's going on. The Brewers manager was talking to Contreras. So the first tag comes down. Does he get him there? If he gets him there and blocks the base, then he's definitely out. The second tag was applied to Hoskins, and he was safe at that point. But if that first tag got him, he's out for sure. I wonder if Contreras even knows if he got him. He thought he did during the play. Runners at first and second. It's going to be 2-1 with 1 out unless this is overturned. It'll be 2-1 with a runner on second either way. We'll have to see if there's a runner on first and 1 out or runner on second with 2 outs. Okay, the runner on the field, the ruling on the field did stand, so there are runners on first and second, 2-1 count, 1 out here in the 6th. Contreras will return to first base. Good slide there by Hoskins. And Jake Bauers is at the plate, so the danger is still here. Tying run at the plate for the Brewers. It's the 6th inning. 2 on, 1 out. The 2-1 pitch to Bowers. Low and in with a curveball, 3-1. This is very dangerous. Joey Ortiz is on deck, which is good news for the Cardinals, but it's a lot easier to get 1 out than to get 2 with the bases loaded. Here's the 3-1. Low and in with the curveball, so the bases will be loaded. And they do need 2 outs, and it'll be Joey Ortiz. Looks like Vinny Capra has come into the game at third base for the Brewers. He's hitting .075 with a .290 OPS. And he's on deck with Ortiz at the plate. But the bases are loaded with 1 out against Sonny Gray. Here's the pitch from Gray to Ortiz. Upstairs with the 4-seam, 1-0. So Gray's going to need to find the zone here. Very dangerous moment in the game. The 1-0 pitch from Gray. Right down the middle with a sinker, 1-1. Joey Ortiz is 4 out of 20 in double plays per double play opportunity this year. It's a strange stat. Here's the 1-1. A nice sweeper right down the middle, 1-2. So Gray back to attacking against Ortiz. Absolutely no reason to throw a ball here. Just put him in the zone, try to get this out. Attack the hitter. The 1-2 to Ortiz. Sweeper outside, off the glove of Gray, and snagged at second base. They get the force out, but 1 run will score. Fantastic play by Sajasi and Wynn to get an out on that play, but it's 5-3 Cardinals in the 6th. So Sonny Gray able to snow cone that ball over to Sajasi, who had to make a diving grab to keep it in the infield. And Mason Wynn, good job covering. So runners at the corners, 2 outs for Vinny Capra. Turang is on deck. So this is a very important plate appearance. Pitch number 89 from Gray. Here it is. Instead, a check on the runner at first. Nothing doing. That's the first disengagement of the at-bat. First pitch to Capra. In there for a strike, 4-seam up and in, 0-1. Sonny Gray about to throw his 90th pitch, so his day's probably over after this inning. We'll have to see. Here's the 0-1. He did have to labor through these last few innings. That's a sweeper in the dirt, 1-1. The other thing is he had a lot of long waits between innings, and he's unlikely to finish the 7th without going over 100 pitches, so I would just keep it safe here. Let him just finish with the 6. Here's the 1-1. Low and in, sinker popped up. Looks like Gorman is out there. Nope, it's Nootbaar calling him off, making the catch. Gorman's actually the DH. That was Sajasi. Either way. That's the 3rd out of the 6th, and it's 5-3 Cardinals, as the Brewers only added 1, despite the bases loaded opportunity. So it'll be Mason Wynn, Lars Nootbaar, and Wilson Contreras against the Brewers bullpen. So it's going to be a bullpen game from both ends going forward. Let's see who these bullpens are. So I got to replace the Braves. I was unable to stream yesterday. And let's replace this with the Brewers as well. 2024 Brewers. Just to have their last season stats, as we still don't have a great sample for this year. So here's all of those. And let's grab their bullpen. So this is what they have in the bullpen. Let's see. So the Cardinals are going to be hitting with Mason Wynn, Lars Nootbaar, and Wilson Contreras. So you probably go right-handed pitcher here. It's probably Nick Mears, given where we are in the game. I would need to know some more stuff about each of these pitchers. They're also behind in the game, so it could be a guy like Yoho. That would make a lot of sense. Let's go ahead and get live, see if we know. We don't. I'm going to say it'll be Mears, Yoho, or Piamps here, because they need to get a righty in the game without it being a high leverage pitcher. It is Uribe. They go to Abner Uribe. He has a 2.53 ERA with 10 2/3 innings pitched, 1.22 whip. He is their second best right-handed pitcher according to the chart, so it's a very strange decision, but we don't mind it as Cardinals fans. Here's the first pitch to Mason Wynn. It is the bottom of the zone for a strike at 99. So he's got big velocity. And I guess the reason they're going to him now is that it's the top of the Cardinals order after Mason Wynn. So you need a guy who can get these out. So I guess that makes sense. Here's the 0-1. Slider in there for a strike, 0-2. So I guess the Brewers see this as a game that they can come back and win. So they're going to pitch their best guys to try to do that. It's not the way the Cardinals usually manage these games, but it's not an unorthodox approach at all. Here's the 0-2 pitch to Wynn. Slider, swing and a miss just behind that one, and Wynn goes down for the first time today. He came into that at-bat with 2 doubles and 2 runs scored, but he struck out swinging just under that slider and is retired. So here comes Lars Nootbaar, who has also not been retired today. Also has 2 doubles and 2 runs scored. First pitch to Nootbaar. Inside with the slider, 1-0. Nootbaar also has a walk and 2 RBIs in this one. The 1-0 pitch to Nootbaar. Low and in, they give him the strike call. That was definitely a ball. Oh well, that was a sinker. Just off the plate inside, 1-1. The 1-1 pitch from Uribe. Ground ball, easy play at second base for Turang, and there's 2 outs now in the 6th. So a good inning so far from Uribe. The last hitter he'll have to face is Wilson Contreras. Contreras is 1 for 3 today. They gave him an infield hit, and then the error said that the run scored, so that's how they ruled that. I would have just said it was grounded into an error, but good for Contreras to get the hit credit there. Here's the pitch to Contreras. Slider away, fouled away, 0-1. Uribe is set. Here's the 0-1 to Wilson Contreras. Slider in the dirt. He did chase that one, and it's 0-2. Let's see if Contreras can continue to climb. Here's the 0-2 pitch to Wilson. Slider below the zone. He saw that one, 1-2. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Contreras. Slider outside, fouled away. Still 1-2. Long at bat by Contreras. Once again, here's the 1-2 pitch from Chiriping. Outside that time with the sinker, 2-2. So that's where the edge of the zone is for this ump, just a little bit further off. Two outs, nobody on. 2-2 count against Willson Contreras. He's playing first base after moving over there to start the season. The 2-2 pitch to Contreras. Sinker low and away, smoked to right field, but it just got foul into the seats. Still 2-2. Good at bat from Contreras, making sure Chiriping can't go multiple innings for the Brewers. Donovan is standing on deck with 2 outs and nobody on, with Willson Contreras at the plate. Here's the 2-2. Low and away with the slider, 3-2. Donovan has a .404 on base percentage, and he awaits if Contreras can reach. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Slider outside, hit hard, and cued over the first base glove of Rhys Hoskins for a single. Good job by Contreras that time. Staying on that pitch, using the end of the bat to hit a cue shot. And the Cardinals have another base runner. So 1 on with 2 outs. And Brendan Donovan will step up to the plate. That one had so much spin on it that it hit the ground right by the right field line and spun out directly to the right fielder who is charging in on it. Here's the first pitch to Brendan Donovan. Swung over a slider that time, 0-1. Donovan is 1 for 3 on the day with a .365 average, .946 OPS. Here is the 0-1 pitch. Right down the middle, hit hard to right field, and that'll drop for another single for Donovan. Contreras will go first to third. And there are runners at the corners with 2 outs for Nolan Arenado. So the 2-out RBI opportunity for Arenado, which is something the Cardinals have been able to give him a lot in his career with the Cardinals, is there once again. The 4-hitter tends to get a lot of opportunities like this. Hopefully Arenado can live up to it here. Still has not struck out in this one, but he is 0 for 3 on the day. Infield, same alignment as earlier, but they're holding the runner on, so it's a massive gap in the infield on the right side, playing him to pull. Here's the first pitch to Arenado. In the dirt, did not get away from the catcher. Great block by William Contreras with the glove. And it's 1-0. That pitch was spiked way low and away. And yet William Contreras was able to keep it in front of him. Here is the 1-0 from Chiriping. Slider outside, way off the plate, and it's called a strike. Arenado has some words for the umpire, and he's completely correct. Awful, awful pitch to call a strike. Here is the 1-1 to Arenado. Dirted a slider that time, 2-1. Arenado, the only hitter in the Cardinals' first 5 batters, with no hits yet today. Here's the 2-1 pitch to Arenado. Outside with the sinker, 3-1. So nothing in the zone against Arenado so far. One of them has been called a strike. It's 3-1. With runners at the corners and 2 outs. Big chance for the Cardinals. Gorman is on deck. Here's the 3-1. Right in there for a strike. That was a sinker right down the middle at the bottom of the zone. And the count is full. So Donovan will be on the move with this pitch. Contreras is on third. Here's the 3-2. Slider right down the middle, pulled foul. And we'll do it again. It's a big chance for Arenado because you'll have a runner in motion. And the other one, an easy scoring position at third base. 2 outs, 2 on. The 3-2 to Arenado. Slider inside, ball 4. So Arenado works a walk despite that pitch that was outside the zone called a strike. And that'll bring up Nolan Gorman with 2 outs and the bases loaded. Gorman is 1 for 2 with that double down the first base line earlier today. And the Brewers pitching coach will come out to talk to Chiriping. Let's see if he'll even finish the inning. Looks like he will. They would have gone to the head coach if he wasn't. Gorman has 1 walk, 1 strikeout, and the double today. Gorman does have 2 career grand slams, only 4 career hits with the bases loaded outside of that in 31 at-bats. 18 RBIs accumulated. I'm sure some of those are walks. Bases loaded walk would be huge here. Let's see what he has in the tank. The first pitch from Chiriping to Gorman. In there for a strike with the slider. That was a great pitch. 0-1. That one was low and in. Perfectly located. And Chiriping's ahead of Gorman, 0-1. Pitching Gorman backwards, as a lot of people do. Here's the 0-1 to Gorman. Swing and a miss over the sinker, low and away, 0-2. So that was a good pitch from Chiriping. Moved away from the barrel. Gorman swung over it. 2 outs, 0-2 count, bases loaded in the 6th. Big chance for Gorman. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Dirted a slider that time, 1-2. So Gorman saw that pitch, stayed alive. Trying to protect the plate here. 2 outs, bases loaded. Chiriping's 27th pitch of this 6th inning. Here it is. Slider outside, 2-2. Big pitch right here. The 2-2 to Gorman. Here it is. Swing and a miss on a slider below the zone, and Chiriping gives up nothing despite loading the bases for the Cardinals. And we're through 6. It's 5-3 Cardinals, headed to the 7th. We'll see who the Cardinals go to in their bullpen. It'll be the top of the order for the Brewers. So Gorman strands the bases loaded there. Looks like just a couple days off for guys like Walker and Donovan recently. No injury. Top of the order, you could even go to Helsley here, but I mean, you got to do Maton or Helsley. Maybe Leahy. Thing is, though, are these all lefties outright, or are they switch? Because like Turang, you see him on the left-handed side. Chourio and Yelich. Yelich is definitely a lefty, so maybe you just go straight to a lefty. But your lefties are Matz, King, and Romero. So it would be Steven Matz, in my opinion. Or you just go to Leahy or Maton. Those are your options. I would not be mad about Steven Matz whatsoever. It will be Matz, so great job by Marmal here. Going with your most reliable lefty so far this season. Matz has a 1.86 ERA. He's been great. You have lefty-lefty on at least two of these hitters. I like the idea for sure. I'm going to grab a drink real quick. I will be back for Matz to face the top of the order. Steven Matz missed with the first pitch. It's 1-0. Here's the 1-0. Way low and outside with the sinker. 2-0 on Turang. The 2-0 pitch to Bryce Turang is in there for a strike. A nice sinker there. 2-1. Turang has a 327 average with a 799 OPS and 3 home runs on the season. He's 0 for 2 today, as Matz misses low and away, and it's 3-1 on Turang. Big stolen base threat, has walked in this one. The 3-1 pitch is in there for a strike with the sinker, 3-2. So Matz has allowed the count to go full. Let's see if he can deliver a good payoff. Here's the 3-2. Fouled away, still 3-2. So Turang keeping himself alive here. You really don't want to see him reach, because a stolen base could easily produce another run for the Brewers. The 3-2 pitch to Bryce. Perfectly placed, low and away with the sinker. Strike 3 on Turang. He has some words for the umpire, but it was definitely a strike. And there's 1 out in the 7th. So the ump consistently calling those corners, even if sometimes he calls outside the zone. That one was in the zone, and there's 1 out with nobody on for Chourio. First pitch, outside with the sinker, 1-0. The 1-0 pitch, hard hit ball to right field, drops in for a hit. Nootbaar plays it on the hop. And there's 1 on with 1 out in the 7th. So Chourio having a great game. He's 3 for 4. Starting to pick it up this year is Chourio. He's a stolen base threat as well, as Christian Yelich steps up to the plate. Matz versus Yelich. First pitch. He's in there for a strike. Sinker right down the middle. 0-1. Very well placed pitch there from Matz. It was just a little off the middle of the plate. Very tough pitch to hit for a lefty. Here's the 0-1. Sinker low and away that time. Another strike. 0-2. So went from middle in to low and away. Yelich has to find this one. Here's the 0-2 pitch from Matz. He delivers. And is way low and outside with the curveball, 1-2. Yelich playing DH today. Cardinals playing him to pull with Arenado way off that third base bag. Shortstop pretty close to the second base bag. The 1-2, grounded. Picked by Contreras. Throws it off the back of Chourio. And the ump is going to call Chourio out for the way that he ran the base path there. So 2 outs, runner on first in the 7th. And Chourio has a lot of words. Here comes the Brewers manager. You do establish your own base path to second, so I would like to see what happened here. So Chourio established his path, veered off of it, stuck his hands in the air, and ricocheted the ball into the outfield. So I would say he should be called out. I think that's a good call. Because his established path was to the right of the grass, and then he veered left into the grass, stuck his hands up. He couldn't see the ball, but he did prevent that throw from being comfortable, and that's why you call him out at second. Brewers manager, very lucky he hasn't been tossed quite yet. Second base umpire knows the rule. I believe he made the right call here. It's a very heated exchange from him and the Brewers manager. Miles Michaelis is very much enjoying this exchange in the background. The Brewers assistant coach went out there and he's being held off by the other umpire. So runner on first with 2 outs in the top of the 7th. That will bring up William Contreras once these coaches are back in their dugout. Had Chourio's path already been established before he veered left and stuck his hands up, I would say, well, okay, that's what happened. I guess what I'm trying to say is, had he already established his path on the left-hand side, it would have been one thing, but he had not. So veering left after establishing your path in the dirt and then running into the grass and sticking your hands up is a call that definitely gets called out every single time by a proper infield umpire. And that's what happened. So, good call by the umps. Cardinals are going to go to their bullpen to face William Contreras. Great decision to go with Matz there. He was able to get 2 out of 3 of those hitters. And it'll be Yelich on first. William Contreras at the plate with a right-handed pitcher coming in for the Cardinals. Who will that righty be? Well, if you look at the options here, you can see that Leahy, Maton are good options. It looks like Cardinals are going to go with Riley O'Brien. Looks like they purchased him from Seattle, so no trade there. Just bought the player out of the bullpen from Seattle. This is a guy I don't know about, so actually I'm going to look at Riley O'Brien. Let's take a look. We'll start on Baseball Reference and we'll work our way over to Savant. So he's a career negative 0.5 WAR, 10.45 ERA. Has not been great. Most of that with the Reds. He threw a scoreless inning with the Mariners before giving up some more runs on the Cardinals last season. So he did play last season a little bit. So that's really all he's done in his career is just a few games. He's appeared in a total of 10 games. 8 of those were with the Cardinals, and he gave up 10 runs in those 8 innings, so that's scary. 2 home runs allowed last season. And gave up a couple runs in his 1 inning of work with Cincinnati. Did throw a scoreless inning with Seattle, but we'll see where he can go from here. I'm not going to Savant because there's not a whole lot to know about him. And it's 0-1 on Contreras. Runner on first, 2 outs. Second pitch from O'Brien. Upstairs, popped up on the infield. It'll be an easy play from Mason Wynn, and Wynn makes the catch. So the Cardinals are through 7. On the pitching side, we go to the bottom half of the 7th, leading 5-3. It'll be Sajacy, Pajes, and Scott. Uribe's already pitched. This is righty, lefty, with Mason Wynn as the 4th hitter. So 3 out of 4 will be righties. You expect them to go to a righty. Let's see who they could go to. So Megill would make a little bit of sense, but he is your closer. Depends if they want to get him in to get some work. If not, you got Grant Anderson. It is the 7th inning, so I mean, you could probably go to a lower leverage guy. So yeah, they definitely don't go to Megill. I would probably go to Piamps or Yoho. Assuming they do have 5 starters, so. Piamps, Yoho, Mears, one of those guys. It will be Piamps. He's pitched 8 innings this year with a 14.63 ERA and a 2.38 whip. So, not a great season for Piamps, but he's usually better than that. And here comes Thomas Sajacy. He's 0 for 2 on the day. 378 average on the year with a 953 OPS. Sajacy, Pajes, and Victor Scott due up for the Cardinals. As the first pitch is a sinker low and away for a strike. Perfectly placed pitch there from Piamps. And he's ahead 0-1. Second pitch. Slider right down the middle. Swing and a miss from Sajacy. Swung right under that one. 0-2. Sajacy has a strikeout today, but also has a walk back in the 3rd inning. Calls his timeout, gives himself some time. Here is the 0-2 from Joel Piamps. Low and away, popped up. Right field. And the catch is made. That one made by Daz Cameron. And there's 1 out in the 7th. This will bring up Pedro Pajes. Pajes is 1 for 2 today. Was able to put one through for a single a couple innings ago. First pitch. Slider away, 1-0. Pedro Pajes has not homered since the first series of the year. It was a 3-run shot against the Twins. Here's the 1-0. Fastball away for a strike. So Pyamp's trying to settle in, trying to lower his ERA back into the single digits. The 1-1 to Pedro Pajes. In the dirt, 2-1. Pajes has a single and a sac fly today. Here's the 2-1. Slider. Into the bat. Poked out to left field. And the catch is made. So 2 outs now in the 7th. That play made by Bowers. That'll bring up Victor Scott with 2 outs. So that's always a little exciting. Victor Scott coming up with 2 outs is how the lineup is most effective, in my opinion. Because if he can reach base, then he can steal second or get thrown out. And then you have Mason Wynn leading off ahead of the top of the order, which is a fantastic spot for Wynn. Here's the 0-1 to Victor Scott. Slider in the dirt, 1-1. So whether it's through getting caught stealing or just getting out here, Mason Wynn could lead off next inning, or Scott could be in scoring position for him at the end of this inning. So it's 1-2. The 1-2 pitch fouled off, still 1-2. Scott is 0 for 3 with 3 flyouts today. We'll see if he can finally square one up. The 1-2 in the dirt, 2-2. As usual, the infield playing him to pull. Here's the 2-2. Slider below the zone for strike 3. Scott cut over that one. And that's the 3rd out of the 7th. So it is 5-3 after 7. And it'll be Daz Cameron, Rhys Hoskins, and Jake Bowers for the Brewers. It's just a 2-run game. So middle of the Brewers order. You definitely expect Helsley to come in the 9th. So here you could go to Maton. Depends who the Cardinals pitched yesterday, obviously, as I was unable to watch that one. I would expect a guy like Leahy or a guy like Maton in this spot. Definitely going to be a righty, right? Let's see what Daz Cameron... Let's see. So Cameron, Hoskins, Bowers. That is a lefty Bowers, but you'd probably want the righty to face Hoskins regardless of the other two. Because a guy who can hit a homer is the scariest for sure. So Leahy, Maton, a guy who can get a ground ball. If we look, I think Leahy's really good at the ground balls. 82nd percentile in ground ball percentage. He's just been really, really good. Compared to Maton. Maton is 60th percentile on the ground ball percentage, so you'd probably want... I mean, I guess that doesn't make that big of a difference, but you're up by 2 runs. It's better to pitch a guy who always creates weak contact than a guy who sometimes strikes out players, in my opinion, with a 2-run lead. And the Cardinals go with Maton, so that's fine. It's a good option. Very good pitcher. Cameron, Hoskins, Bowers. First pitch to Cameron. Cameron is a full-time right-handed hitter. Last at-bat was his first of the season. And he did not get on, so we'll see if he can reach base for the first time this time. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Outside with a curveball, 1-1. Phil Maton's been good this year. He has a 2.84 ERA. His worst game came last series against the Braves. Here's the 1-1 to Daz Cameron. Outside with the curveball, 2-1. Over at the Athletics Stadium, they are trailing 6-0 against the White Sox. Here's the 2-1 to Cameron. In there for a strike with the sinker, 2-2. Maton is ready. Here's the 2-2 pitch to Daz Cameron. Outside with the cutter, 3-2. So Maton struggling to find the zone here. You really want to attack a guy like this. He's 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Hoskins on deck. 3-2, squared up foul. That one fouled back off the top of the bat. And we'll see it again here. Big home run threat on deck. Here's the 3-2 to Daz Cameron. Chops in the air. Shortstop Wynn makes the play. And there's one out in the 8th. So a good job by Maton, sticking with it. Finding the zone a couple times in a row. And that brings up Rhys Hoskins with nobody on. That's exactly how you like to face him. Worst you can do is hit a solo shot. This season he's hitting .299. 3 home runs, .837 OPS. Here's the pitch. Just above the zone with the cutter, 1-0. The 1-0 pitch from Maton to Hoskins. Inside, hit him with that pitch. So Hoskins will reach base there. And that'll bring up Jake Bauers, the last hitter that Maton is required to face here. You expect him to face everybody through that 9-hitter, if he has to. After that, it'll be Helsley. That one in off the ribs. Probably a little painful for Hoskins, but I'm sure he's fine. Here's the pitch from Maton to Bauers. Hanging curveball right down the middle, swung right over it, 0-1. So that was a very scary pitch. No punishment for that, though. Cardinals playing a little unorthodox with Arenado a little closer to third base. Here's the 0-1. Curveball way inside, 1-1. Bauers has been very good this season, but he's 0 for 2 today. Does have a walk. Here's the 1-1. Swing and a miss on a curveball outside, 1-2. Maton's thrown 12 pitches in the inning. Been able to record 1 out and let 1 runner reach. Maton's ERA this season sits at .277. Here's the 1-2 to Jake Bauers. Another swing and a miss on another curveball, and down goes Jake Bauers. So Maton figured out what he couldn't hit and just did not stop using it. So 2 down for Joey Ortiz in the 8th. That is one of those things about Maton, is once he finds the zone with a pitch and it's working, he's smart enough to just keep throwing it. Exact same way. I'm sure the catcher has a lot to do with that as well, Pedro Pajes. The pitch to Ortiz is high, 1-0. Ortiz is 1 for 3 with a double back in the 5th. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Called a strike with the slider on the outside. Just a little off the plate there. 1-1. The 1-1 pitch to Joey Ortiz. Slider, that one at the bottom of the zone, 1-2. So Maton finding his command for sure. Very well placed pitches, especially with this umpire's zone. Everything looking pretty good. 1 on, 2 outs. Here's the 1-2. Nope. Maton steps off. First disengagement there. Still 1-2. The 1-2 pitch to Ortiz. Tried to throw a curveball at the top of the zone. Missed upstairs. 2-2. The 2-2 pitch to Ortiz. Swing and he pokes it to the right-hand side. Easy play at second base, and the 3rd out is recorded by Sajasi. So we're midway through the 8th. It's 5-3 Cardinals, and it'll come down to Helsley unless the Cardinals can add on here and get some insurance. It'll be Wynn, Nootbaar, and Contreras for the Cardinals. So here, you're looking at Wynn, Nootbaar, Contreras, Donovan. So righty-lefty, righty-lefty. You could go either way if you wanted to. I still expect a right-handed pitcher to come in, but could be wrong. You definitely don't go to Miguel. You already used your eBay. Already used Piamps, so I would think Yoho or Mears here. Down by 2 runs, only 1 inning remaining. Probably want to save Anderson. But one of those 3 will definitely come in, unless they want to use Koenig for some reason. Let's just see what they do. Maybe Tyler Alexander, I mean, if you just want to only use your long reliever. But they would have done that earlier in the game. So Nootbaar's been good, Contreras has been good, Donovan's been good, Gorman's been good. Pajas has the sac fly and the single, Wynn has the double, so pretty good game for the most part across the board. Of all of the players, the only one to fail to reach base for the Cardinals today has been Victor Scott, unfortunately. But he's coming off a great series against Atlanta, so you don't have to be too worried about him. Great game from the Cardinals across the board. 10 hits, 5 runs, no errors. And here comes Mason Wynn. Looks like they're going to stick with Piamps. That's something I didn't consider. It makes a lot of sense. He only threw 13 pitches last inning. And this saves another member of their bullpen. So smart job by the Brewers here. But it could result in an extended lead. First pitch is in there for a strike against Mason Wynn, 0-1. He did have good stuff last inning, and I'm sure they have another member of the bullpen that they can go to if they need to. Here's the 0-1 to Wynn. Fastball up and away, fouled off, 0-2. Two doubles, 2 runs scored for Wynn today. The 0-2 pitch. Slider low and away, 1-2. The 1-2 pitch from Piamps to Mason Wynn. Another slider low and away, 2-2. So Wynn able to see that pitch. They're going to have to figure something else out. Maybe you go same pitch, but lower and inside. Here's the 2-2. Nope, they just go low and away once again with the slider. Wynn sees it once again, and it's 3-2 on Mason Wynn. So Interesting strategy from the Brewers. You just keep throwing it. Hope you can't see it eventually, but he sees it every time. 3-2 pitch to win. Slider outside, poked to shortstop. A great play by Ortiz, and there's one out in the 8th. So that time they put it in the zone. Wynn had to swing at it, and a nice play was made by Ortiz. That'll bring up Lars Nootbaar, who has a double off the wall, ground rule double earlier. At the top of the order, also had what was ruled a double that looked like a single later on in the game. So he's 2 for 3. Also had a walk to start off the game. Fastball down the middle, it's 0-1. Here's the second pitch from Joel Payamps. Changeup in the dirt, 1-1. The 1-1 pitch to Nootbaar. Outside in the dirt with the slider, 2-1. So Payamps still trying to make his pitches more competitive. They've been very far into the dirt so far. Here's the 2-1. Perfectly placed fastball at the bottom of the zone, 2-2. So there's a good pitch. But a fastball is also a pitch Nootbaar can hit. So let's see where they go from here. 2-2. Fastball low and away, fouled back. Still 2-2. So they tried to go to the same thing there and freeze him. But Nootbaar was ready for it. Nootbaar with 2 runs scored, 2 runs batted in, a double and a single. So they did change that from a double. 2-2 pitch, fouled off. So I was right. Okay. They did go back and make it a single. And then he advanced on the throw. That's what I thought. Okay. So the official scorers eventually get there. Here is the 2-2 pitch to Lars Nootbaar. Fastball, they froze him with that low and outside fastball. Strike 3. And that will bring up Willson Contreras. With 2 outs and nobody on in the 8th. Could be the final Cardinal hitter of the game, but if it is, that means they won. Contreras has 2 singles in this one. One of them was debatable, as there was an error on the throw to first. Count is 1-0. 2 outs, nobody on. Contreras 2 for 4 on the day. The 1-0 pitch from Payamps to Contreras. Slider chopped to third base. Nice play made. And we go to the 9th. 5-3 Cardinals. Ryan Helsley coming in with a big save opportunity against the division rival. So right after Capra makes a play at third, he's going to be hitting. Vinny Capra is 0 for 1 today. A 282 OPS on the year, but he does have a home run. That home run might be his only hit of the season, as he's hitting .073 batting average. Helsley versus Capra, Turang, and Churio. So he will be facing a lot of righty-lefties. Hopefully he can find the zone against them. We'll just look at Helsley so far this year. So his whip is way up at 1.56. That's why his pitching value is only down at 1 with 57th percentile. But once he gets that whip down, stops walking, guys, everything will be back to normal. I mean, his ERA is at 2, which is lower than the last 2 seasons. Fastball velo still great, but just a lot of walks this year. First percentile in pitchers for walk percentage. So that's as bad as it gets. Just got to keep finding the zone. Everything else works out for Helsley's favor. First out is a very key out for Helsley. They might pinch hit. Let's see what the Brewers do. Helsley's thrown exactly 9 innings, given up exactly 2 runs this season. 4 out of 5 on save opportunities, just the 1 blown save to the Red Sox. Pinch hit is Isaac Collins. He's hitting .214 this year. First pitch way up and away for ball 1. Collins has no RBIs, no home runs, .588 OPS in 15 games. The 1-0 pitch from Helsley. Up and away again, 2-0. So Helsley just struggling to find the zone on the year. And so far, it looks like that might continue. With the game on the line, this is the last thing you're looking for. You want a guy who can just throw strikes. Hopefully he can here. Here's the 2-0. Right down the middle with the cutter, 2-1. Great pitch that time from Helsley. Here's the 2-1. Inside out swing, chopped out to center field for a single. So that's unfortunate for Helsley. Great job by Collins. It was a good pitch, but just better hitting. Took an inside out swing, got the barrel to the baseball, and let it do the rest. With some weak contact, the speed of the ball carried it out to center field. And there's 1 on with nobody out. Here in the top of the 9th. For Bryce Turang, so a home run could tie it. A lot of velocity coming into the bat. Hopefully Helsley can get a grounder. Here's the first pitch. Low and in with the slider, 1-0. Very dangerous 9th inning here. Turang does have a walk back in the 5th, did score a run. The 1-0 pitch to Turang. Low and away, 2-0. So, no outs, 1 on. The 2-0 pitch to Bryce Turang. Up and in with the slider, 3-0. So, Helsley just struggling to put one in there. And now, it's a very dangerous game here. Here is the 3-0 to Turang. Strike called on a cutter outside, 3-1. So Helsley able to get the call there. 1 man on, nobody out in the 9th. Helsley really needs to put it in the zone. Here's the 3-1 pitch to Turang. Low and in, he swings at this one. He goes down and gets it, hits it to center field. Catch made on the warning track by Victor Scott, and Collins has to retreat to first. So 1 out now in the 9th. With Collins on first. For Jackson Chourio. Chourio has no walks today, but he's 3 for 4 with 1 RBI. He's only grounded into 3 double plays on 28 chances. So it's unlikely that the game will end in that way, but we'll see. Here's the first pitch to Chourio. Hung a slider, and it's smoked into Big Mac land, and it is tied at 5 in the 9th. So Helsley blows his 2nd save of the year. He's 4 out of 6 now, and the Brewers have tied it in the 9th. So Chourio has a fantastic game. He's 4 for 5. Hit his 6th home run of the season on a slider that was hanging up there, and Chourio had absolutely no problem smacking that off the Big Mac land sign. It was a slider sitting at just 84 miles an hour. Not a Helsley quality pitch. Here's the first pitch to Yelich. Ground ball. Easy play off the bag for a win. And he gets the out. So there's 2 outs now. If we look ahead to the bottom half of the 9th, It will be Donovan Arenado Gorman. In a tie game, if Helsley can get this out against William Contreras. First pitch to Contreras is in the dirt, 1-0. Second pitch from Helsley to Contreras. Fouled off, 1-1. So Helsley only thrown 13 pitches so far this inning, but blows his second save of the year. It was a great piece of hitting by the Brewers, by Collins at least, and then that second one was a hanging slider. Chiriping didn't miss it. The 1-1 pitch in the dirt, 2-1 on Contreras. Sometimes when you pitch behind the hitter feels more comfortable going down and getting close pitches. And that's what happened for Chiriping on that one. Especially when it was such an easy pitch to hit by Helsley. Here is the 2-1 to Contreras. Fouled off, 2-2. So Helsley's no longer behind in this count. Hopefully he can turn that into some leverage to get this final out of the ninth inning. Contreras has a single and a walk with a run scored in this one. The 2-2 pitch to William. Popped up. Pajes makes the call and snags that one. So we're midway through the ninth, but Chiriping was able to tie it with a homer. And it's 5-5 headed to the bottom of the ninth. It'll be Donovan, Arenado, and Gorman. A few threats to walk off this one. Hopefully one of them can get it done. The Brewers have 5 runs on 10 hits and 1 error. The Cardinals have 5 runs on 10 hits, no errors. So hopefully they can get the lead in that hits column, the lead in that runs column in the ninth, and walk this one off. So now that it's tied, and the heart of the Cardinals order is coming up with 2 lefties and 1 righty, who do the Brewers go to? Could be Miguel, could be Koenig. I think you go to Koenig here. I think that would be a fantastic decision. He's second on your, he's your main setup man, according to this. The 8th inning guy. You'd be facing Donovan, and you'd be facing Gorman in the inning. Obviously, the Cardinals could pinch hit for Gorman at DH, go to a guy like Baker, who could also walk one off, but you'd much rather this and then have a righty later on in Miguel to try to win it in the 10th. But it also depends who the higher strikeout rate guy is, because you want the guy who gets strikeouts when the runner starts on second base. So that's another part of this. The automatic base runner in extra innings should factor into your decision for the ninth, because you're playing as if it's going to extras if you're the Brewers. There's no scenario where you win this game without extra innings, because it's tied going to the bottom of the ninth. So whoever has the better strikeout numbers is who you should go to in the 10th. And so in the ninth, you go with the other guy, the ground ball guy. My expectation is they go to Koenig here, but let's see. They go to Miguel, so they're going straight to their closer. It is the heart of the order, so that makes some sense. Maybe he's a ground ball guy. And he's definitely not. He has a 29.4% ground ball rate, so that's awful. He hasn't given up a home run this season, but his whip's at 1.29. I would disagree with this from a fundamental perspective. You're facing 2 left-handed hitters, both of them very good against right-handed pitching. But as a Cardinals fan, that's great. So hopefully the Cardinals can deliver, because this is a very good opportunity, despite this being the Brewers' closer. So Brendan Donovan stepping up to the plate. He's 2 for 4 with at least 1 double. Yeah, just one double in this one. First pitch to Donovan. Way inside with the knuckle curve from Miguel, and it's 1-0. Here's the 1-0 to Brendan Donovan. In there for a strike with the fastball at 99, 1-1. That was a very, very good pitch from Miguel. Low and away with the fastball. Perfectly placed. Here is the 1-1 to Brendan Donovan. Fastball right down the middle, rocketed to center field, but Chiriping comes on and makes the catch. 1 out in the 9th. So Chiriping got a good jump on that one. Was able to come in and make the catch. That'll bring up Nolan Arenado. He has a walk, but no hits yet so far in this one. The walk came his last time up. Righty. This is the one guy that is beneficial for Miguel. Here's the first pitch to Arenado. Outside, they call it a strike. 0-1 on Arenado. Ridiculous strike call way outside. Here's the 0-1. Inside, pulled down the third base line, and it is gone. A walk-off home run for Nolan Arenado, and the Cardinals win it 6-5. Stayed inside the fastball. It was in on the hands. He got the barrel around on it. 102 miles an hour off the bat. 385 to left, and the Cardinals meet at the plate with a walk-off homer. That's his 6th career walk-off home run, and the fan base will go home happy today. So the bad decision to bring in Miguel does bite the Brewers. 6 runs on 11 hits, beats 5 runs on 10 with the error for the Brewers. And the Cardinals win the series, chance to sweep tomorrow in St. Louis. Incredible game today. Despite the blown save from Helsley, just gave the Cardinals a chance to get their fire back, and Arenado brought it. Great job by Nolan. Repping the Cardinal red. 6-5 victory. And I will see you guys very soon.